Finally tonight, buckle up for the trip of a lifetime down memory lane. Here's Steve Hartman on the road.
This was cool.
For Earl Goines and his son Jared, cars have always been their love language.
69 Z28.
Bonding over Bondo and brake pads ever since Jared was a little compact. And through the years, the one thing they've talked about most is the 67 Chevy Camaro Earl used to own.
Anytime that we saw a Camaro, he would definitely bring it up. It'd be a reoccurring theme and a reoccurring story.
I once had a Camaro.
Yes, I had a Camaro.
Beautiful.
Just like that. The joke was, or the way that he just summed it all up, is that I had to sell this car for your diaper money.
Actually, Earl was only half joking.
You got to build a nursery, find a crib and a cradle, and it was time to, settle down and raise the family,
So it was goodbye hot rod, hello lukewarm minivan. Since then, his car dreams have been mostly confined to helping others with their vehicles.
So it's a Nissan Rogue.
He works at O'Reilly Auto Parts in Mesquite, Texas, where he has continued to share that story of the Camaro that got away.
Thanks so much.
Of course, Jared knew his dad never really regretted selling that car, but he still felt like he owed his dad more than he could ever repay. So he went to work.
A car exactly like the one his dad had just didn't exist. So Jared spent 3 years scouring the internet for parts and putting it together piece by piece. Until last month, when he handed over the keys for his dad's 65th birthday.
That is your car. Thanks for the diaper money, Dad.
And he was just overcome. And he wrapped his arms around me. It was the best. It was the best.
He loves me a lot. As much as I love him.
We all give up something to start a family. But if you're lucky and patient, sometimes you can have your Camaro and keep it too. Steve Hartman, on the road in Mesquite, Texas.
One of the marvels of being a parent is watching how quickly your children grow. CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road with one family to see how they handled an important milestone.
Those are big muscles.
The Bishop family of Festus, Missouri can smile now, but a few months ago the mood was much more somber as Courtney, Jake, and their daughter Hazel said goodbye to a very important member of the family.
We had been trying to wean her off of it for some time.
Hazel's beloved pacifier, affectionately known as Passy, had been with her for years. And Jake knew saying goodbye could come with tears and tantrums. So he searched for creative approaches to ease the transition, like cutting off the end,
Broken.
soaking it in vinegar,
You got to cover them up so they can grow.
or planting it in a pot.
I did it a little bit differently.
A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit differently.
No, a lot of it differently.
Okay, it's a lot.
We are gathered here to remember Pass, the pacifier bishop. One of the greatest passies to have ever graced the lips of a toddler.
Jake gave Passy a full-on funeral.
May I have Hazel and the Passy?
Of course, before the internet, parents used to just take the thing away and deal with the tantrum. But today, young parents like Jake, for better or worse, would rather not go to war over a binky. They're pacifists, if you will.
You need them to go through some tough times to really grow as a person, but you don't need to make extra tough times for them. They'll have plenty of those coming up.
Put your dirt on top of the Passy. Yep.
Parents delight in marking milestones, but those milestones are often bittersweet. Because each turning point is a point of no return.
She's transitioning to the next stage of her life. We just got to hold on to those moments and those memories, and this is why we do this stuff. It gives us these memories to look back on, because it goes fast.
How do you feel?
I want to do it again, please.
Hazel hasn't asked for it again since. Although shortly after the ceremony, Jake dug it up and buried it again in a keepsake box.
I love you so much, okay?
Okay.
Making Dad the one who just can't let go.
Good night, sweet pea.
Steve Hartman, on the road, near St. Louis.
Finally tonight, CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road with a young family that found happiness off the beaten path.
If you take a ferry to Isle Ho, an island community way off the coast of Maine, you can visit the gift shop, the general store, and, well, that's it. Just the general store and the gift shop. There are literally no other businesses on the island.
So people who live out here are resilient, they're creative.
And they're few. Too few, according to Bob Olney, president of the Isle Ho Community Development Corporation.
And it's essential that we continue to attract families.
So, last year, this community of about 50 year-round residents made a post, hoping to woo a new family. They were careful not to oversell the place. Though it's not everyone's cup of tea, who knows? It may very well be yours. And they got a taker. A young family from central Massachusetts.
Ready?
Dakota Waters, his son Flynn, wife Hannah, and their baby Amelia moved here a few months ago.
Oh, our whole family thought we were psychotic. They're like a remote island in the middle of the ocean.
Had you been on an island before?
Nope, never even been in the ocean.
And yet, here they live, the newest members of a dying breed.
Uh-oh.
At one point, there were about 300 communities out here on Maine's most isolated islands. Now, just over a dozen remain. And keeping those alive will require a new breed of frontiersmen, folks who value solitude over Starbucks and really don't mind a little adversity.
People have traded the good life for a convenient one, and convenience isn't always the best.
To that point, the Waters raise some of their own food and work multiple jobs.
You want to pet your chickens?
Dakota does plumbing, lawn maintenance. The old landlubber even works on a lobster boat. And as for the children, this year his son Flynn was one of just 2 kids in the K-8 schoolhouse. And that was the other.
It's no one.
The place is just that small. But Dakota says the tininess is more blessing than curse.
There we go! We have so much more bonding time with the kids. It's undescribably wholesome.
You think you're here for good?
Yeah.
I'm not moving my stuff off this rock again. It was too hard to get it here.
Come for the beauty, stay because it's too hard to leave. Could be another soft sell ad. Steve Hartman, way off the road on Isle Ho, Maine.
Finally tonight, CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road to witness the miracle of a mother's love.
For Peggy Means of Dowagiac, Michigan, Mother's Day was just another X on the calendar. Just another day without her daughter. In 2017, Jennifer was critically injured in a car crash. She was 35.
On life support?
Yeah.
And did the doctor tell you she wasn't going to make it?
He said that she's not going to wake up, you know. And of course I collapsed, you know. It was terrible.
Her only daughter in a coma with virtually no chance of ever coming out of it.
Hindsight.
And yet, Peggy refused to let doctors pull the plug.
Did you question your decision at any point?
No.
Not after year 1?
No.
Year 2, 3, 4, 5?
Never. I just couldn't let her go.
One by one, Jennifer's friends stopped visiting. Even her husband moved on with his life. And yet, almost every day, her mom was there to comfort and care, and always talking to her, as if Jennifer could actually understand, which of course, she couldn't. Until she could. It started with a laugh. Jennifer had been off life support, but still in a coma, when her mom said something funny. And that was it.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
A year later, Jennifer came home. Although she still can't walk and struggles to speak, her mind is sharp and her heart filled with joy.
What's the best part about being back among us? Everything?
Yeah.
She especially loves visiting with her boys. And as for Peggy, the mom who made these moments possible. This Mother's Day may be her best one ever, because even though she won't be getting flowers or candy, Jennifer can now muster those words that matter most and deliver them as sincerely as they've ever been spoken.
You love your mom.
Yeah.
Steve Hartman, on the road in Dowagiac, Michigan.
CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road for an out-of-this-world experience, and he's bringing his teenage son along for the ride.
You go get it. For the last 6 years, 7 months, and 15 days, my oldest son George has been patiently waiting and hoping for the clouds to clear and the sun to shine for his second chance at a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It's like when you see a good movie and you go and see it again. One time just isn't enough to capture the true majesty of it.
I think it started.
I think so.
Back in 2017, George convinced me to take him to the last solar eclipse. At the time, he was so into astronomy, he took his planet book to swimming lessons, dressed up as the solar system for Halloween, and made his third-grade New Year's resolution to get a shrewd idea of how the multiverse could be real.
It's basically a theory about having not one, but an infinite number of universes.
And you'd like to understand it better?
Yeah, which I already have done.
Would you explain it to me someday?
I will.
George was 9 back then. Today, he's 16. He rarely reads about astrophysics anymore, but his desire to witness the moon's day in the sun has not waned.
It's almost like some great higher power pushed down on a dimmer switch on the universe. It does not seem like a natural occurrence, and yet it is.
I have to agree. It does feel like another planet. But for parents like me, the more awesome sight is the joy on the faces of our precious Earthlings.
Oh my God, it's so dark.
Assuming no clouds.
Is that devastation?
Of course it is. I mean, it's an eclipse, but so much of life is learning to cope with that devastation and find beauty where you might have trouble finding it.
And that would be spending special time with your family.
I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
A teenager agreeing with his parents in totality.
Look up there!
Perhaps the only thing rarer than a solar eclipse. Steve Hartman, CBS News, on the road.
Oh.
As the nation prepares to honor the brave men and women of our armed forces this Veterans Day, it's important to remember the sacrifice and the legacy every service member leaves behind. CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road to tell the story of one Army sergeant who will live on for generations.
Here at Arlington National Cemetery, the final lines of 400,000 life stories are etched on marble, each ending sad to someone. But you can also find uplift in these final chapters, as we learn from the family of Army Sergeant Jack Bryant Jr. Jack, who everyone called Jay, was killed in Iraq almost 20 years ago now.
It's important for me to let that legacy live on through my kids.
Jennifer Souza of Stafford, Virginia, is Jay's sister.
Go ahead.
And her kids.
My name is Jada.
Her niece.
Jayla.
They're all named after Jay.
My name is DJ.
In one way or another.
My name is Paris.
Paris?
He visited it 2 days before he passed.
I see.
None of the kids knew Jay, but they have spent just about every Veterans Day of their lives overcoming that loss.
It's like a quiet moment, like we're all together, and it's like, it's nice.
It feels like we're right next to him, but he's up.
TJ especially has surrounded himself with his uncle's memory. He's got his old comforter, a poster of his favorite musician, and of course, pictures. And every year, copies of those pictures get cut, laminated, and laughed over as the family prepares to decorate his grave one more time.
So you can get 4.
And Jennifer says it's rituals like this that move those memories across the generational divide.
There you go. What do you feel when you see them embracing his memory?
It's a sense of just joy. I absolutely look forward to celebrating him on Veterans Day.
I've never heard of joy associated with Veterans Day, but you make me feel it.
Spinning pain into pride, a Bryant family tradition. Steve Hartman, On the Road, in Arlington, Virginia.
This week, CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road with the story of a nurse and the life-saving treatment of compassion.
At Community Hospital North in Indianapolis, newborn intensive care nurse Katrina Mullen has a reputation for going above and beyond. But as you'll soon see, the lengths she went to for these triplets and their 14-year-old mother is beyond compare.
Being that age and having all 3 babies premature and sick was going to be a hard road for her.
Katrina was once a teenage mother herself, and she knew that this young mom, Shariah Small, didn't have a stable home life. So, even after the babies were discharged, Katrina continued to visit them and shower them with gifts.
Pacifiers or bottles, 3 matching outfits for them.
What is driving you to do all this?
Just love. I mean, I loved her, I loved them, and I just wanted to see her be a successful parent.
She was just there. She was there emotionally, she was there physically, she was there mentally.
Which was all new for Shariah.
Yeah, she was really the only person there.
But Shariah still didn't have a proper home for the kids. So eventually, the Department of Child Services intervened. They began looking for a foster family, or more like multiple foster families, because finding one place for a teenage mother and her triplets would be nearly impossible. And that's when Shariah got a text message that simply said, "I can't wait for you to come home." Never mind that Katrina already had 5 kids of her own.
What color is that?
She took on these other 4 without giving it a second thought.
Pop. It's been exhausting. It's been crazy and busy. But I've never once sat and said, I wish I hadn't done this.
But that seems illogical. You just listed a bunch of reasons why this is a terrible idea, and then you say I would absolutely do it again.
I would absolutely do it again.
In fact, just a few months ago, Katrina adopted Shariah, who just finished high school and now plans to go to college. All thanks to the nurse, who went above and beyond some more. Steve Hartman, On the Road, in Indianapolis.
Sometimes life's greatest gifts can come from where we least expect them to. Here's CBS's Steve Hartman, On the Road.
Time to go for a walk.
When John Ivanowski's kidneys started failing and he needed a transplant, the most likely donor match was his daughter, Delaney. But John would have no part of her.
And I was like, well, why can't he just have my kidney? Or just take it now?
I said, no way.
Why so adamant that she not help?
She's the only thing I got.
15 years earlier, John's only other child, Dawson, died of cancer. So the thought of Delaney going through this surgery, no matter how small the risk, was more than he could bear.
After losing Dawson, I don't know what I would do.
Fortunately, a donor stepped forward.
Yep, an anonymous donor.
An anonymous living donor who also just so happened to be living in his basement. Unbeknownst to John, Delaney had spent the last year working with the transplant center here at Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis, getting tested, going through protocols, and all the while completely deceiving her father. Until this very moment.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
John says he sat there for quite a while, not knowing what to feel.
I started crying. Hard to process everything, you know? It's
because
like,
anger and gratitude have never been intertwined like they were at that moment.
I'm like, should I kill you now or kill you later?
As time has passed, has gratitude overtaken the anger?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Most parents would give anything for their children. And when those tables turn, it's not really a parent's place to protest, because the kids are just following the example. you set.
I would do it over and over and over again if it meant to, like, save his life and have him here with me.
How do you say thank you?
Just take care of this gift.
The gift from her and the gift that is her. Steve Hartman on the road in St. Louis.
Finally tonight, CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road with a high school football star who's using lessons from his painful past to give others a brighter future.
When Lincoln East High School football phenom, wide receiver Malachi Coleman announced he'd be playing for Nebraska next season, it was the completion of the ultimate Hail Mary. 12 years earlier, Malachi's mother left him and his younger sister by the side of the road and never returned. Malachi suffered abuse in the foster system until eventually he and his sister were adopted by a loving family. But so much damage had been done.
He was a broken kid.
Parents Miranda and Craig Coleman.
Like, he lived for today and only today, and nothing mattered.
A mean and selfish jerk, by his own admission, who refused to do anything kind for anybody.
Yeah, because nobody had really helped me up to that point, you know.
So why should you help them?
Yeah.
So, when the Nebraska School Activities Association ruled that high school athletes could now profit off their name and likeness, it came as no surprise that Malachi was first in line. The shocker was how he planned to spend it.
Never could have predicted.
No, it was his idea.
They say Malachi walked into this local restaurant and offered to promote a burrito on condition a portion of the profits go to one cause.
Put it towards advocating for the foster care system.
Nick Maestas is the owner.
How would you not want to be on board with that?
This kid's remarkable transformation actually began a few years earlier after an hour-long argument in which Miranda insisted he do something selfless.
Yeah, I threw out at least 100 ideas of things he could do. And exasperated, I finally said, what about holding a door? Can you hold one door for one person? And he finally just like, I can hold a door.
The next day at school, he held a door, then another, and another. At church, he held the door for the entire congregation, till now he says kindness is his passion.
Hi, Miss Daly.
So you're saying all this charity stemmed from you holding a door for someone?
Yes, because once I realized how good it makes me feel to help other people, it's just something that I knew that I wanted to continue in my life.
Hopefully opening many more of the most important doors, the ones leading to a forever family. Steve Hartman on the road in Lincoln, Nebraska.
CBS's Steve Hartman goes on the road where he found a powerful lesson in parenting.
Just outside Salt Lake City, 46-year-old Shauna Austin is about to let you in on a secret.
I've never talked about it, ever.
As we first reported a few months ago, when Shauna was 20 and single, she got pregnant. She says she wasn't ready to be a mom, so she made the difficult decision to place her baby for adoption.
Do you remember holding him the first time?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
He was perfect. And I knew I would have him for a short time. So I made every minute count with him.
She called the boy Riley and says she held him for 72 hours straight until the time came to let go. Her Riley was now somebody else's Stephen. And at this point, like with most closed adoptions, a firewall went up between Shauna and Stephen's new parents. No communication whatsoever. And this went on for about a week.
It was like, okay, this is the way it should be. She is part of our family.
Adoptive parents Jennifer and Chris Schobinger say they had no interest in excluding the birth mother.
You know, you can't have too many people loving you, right? Why couldn't he be both of ours?
So, year after year, they sent Shauna piles of pictures and these bound books detailing Stephen's every major and minor milestone, like this complete list of his vocabulary. All so that when Shauna was ready and Stephen was ready, they could pick up right where they left off. The two reunited when Stephen was 7. Shauna taught him how to fish, and they have been reeling in the memories ever since.
I was blessed beyond words.
I kind of got best of both worlds for sure.
Stephen is now 26, married with a brand new boy of his own, much to the delight of Grandma Shauna.
That was really special. It just brought that full circle around.
Especially when she heard the baby's name, Riley.
Oh.
Felt like that name was just supposed to be in the family.
I think the lesson we've learned is that sometimes we create barriers where barriers don't need to be. And when we pull down those barriers, we really find love on the other side.
Since we first told this story, that love on the other side has continued to grow. The family spent Thanksgiving as one and will, of course, be getting together again in the days ahead. A holiday example to help us all live the life of Riley.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Steve Hartman, On the Road, in Lehigh, Utah.
In tonight's On the Road, CBS's Steve Hartman has the incredible story of 2 brothers and a community of strangers.
This is not a national park.
Signals work?
This is a vehicle inspection site in Katy, Texas, where 22-year-old Jalen Gray started working after he quit college and his dream of becoming a park ranger.
It's not a really good feeling, giving up at all, but
sometimes it's not quitting, it's just doing the right thing.
Yeah, I had to do what I had to do, so.
Today, Jalen's sole priority is his 12-year-old brother, Julian.
He's my reason.
All right, let's go. His reason and his responsibility. Their mother and only parent died 2 years ago.
I just miss her so much.
From that day on, I swore, at all costs, I'm protecting them.
And then things got worse.
Yeah, I was basically defeated. I had nowhere to go.
Life went from bad to unbearable after that big freeze hit Texas last year. The pipes burst in their house, the one their mother left them, and ruined everything.
Some strange times.
Then a contractor Jalen hired to fix it took their life savings and ran off.
Tragic, isn't it?
The boys were pretty much homeless, living with their last surviving close relative, when a nonprofit called Katy Responds caught wind. The group fixes up houses after natural disasters. Over the years, they've helped more than 100 families, but few more worthy than those boys.
Yeah, it breaks your heart.
Had to help.
Had to.
Executive Director Ron Peters.
They had no idea people would want to jump in and help them.
Which may explain their jaw-dropping, literally speechless reactions.
I was overwhelmed.
Thanks to an army of donors and volunteers, the brothers are finally and forever back in their mother's house. Fully renovated, better than ever. And although no builder could ever patch the hole in their hearts, Katy Responds did the next best thing.
There's just so many nice people in this room right now, and it makes me so happy.
When their mother died, Julian and Jalen thought all they had was each other, but they were off by one whole community. Steve Hartman, On the Road, in Katy, Texas.
As we prepare to celebrate our nation's birthday, we're reminded that it's a moment to reflect and appreciate just how far we've come. Here's CBS's Steve Hartman, On the Road.
What may look like a house to you is something much more magnificent to the boy inside.
What did you think when you saw this place for the first time?
We said it's second heaven.
Second heaven?
Yes. You pass through this before you go to the big heaven. That is what I believe so.
He means that, literally. And why wouldn't he? Abraham and his brother James are from Sierra Leone. They were homeless before finding their way to an orphanage and eventually to their new family outside Charlotte, North Carolina. Joe and Jamie Walker adopted them last fall, and they say the boys have been wide-eyed with wonder ever since.
It's fun. Every little thing that we take for granted. Coming home from the airport and I hit the button to open our front gate. Dad.
Everything is magic to them. It's magic.
Whether it's a present just showing up on Christmas morning,
Yes!
or something mundane, like a car wash, the kids are constantly blown away.
But the biggest surprise, the most profound reaction, happened last month on Abraham's 12th birthday. You had birthdays before you came here. How did you celebrate them?
That would be a crazy question.
Why is that a crazy question?
I never celebrate them. I never knew it was my birthday.
Happy birthday! So when the song started and his mom appeared with that glowing tribute, Abraham was overwhelmed.
When I see the cake, I thought that is the most beautifulest thing I've ever seen.
The birthday cake.
It's not just a birthday cake. It's a blessing cake.
A blessing cake. And what a blessing it is that once a year, friends and family gather just to honor our existence. Most of us take that for granted, but not in this house. Not anymore.
Just being reminded that we need to stop and be super grateful for what we do have.
A good wish for America from this American dream come true. Steve Hartman, on the road in Charlotte.
This weekend's Grammy Awards are sure to include plenty of love songs, but none can top the one Steve Hartman found on the road.
I remember that.
It's been 61 years of wedded bliss. But Mort and Susan Block of Kennett Square, Pennsylvania say they're meant to be. Almost never was.
Right.
Not because of Mort. He knew he wanted to marry her from day one.
It was just like that. It was instant for me.
But Susan, not so much.
I didn't have any grandiose feeling that it was going to go anywhere.
To complicate matters, Mort was a sailor. And after that first date, he headed out to sea, where, on the bridge of the destroyer Hazelwood, he wrote a song for Susan.
And my feelings were, I miss you more each day, since you've gone away.
The song was called My Love, and it worked its magic.
My love. And then it went in a drawer, and it stayed there. Enter my grandson.
Then I was like, oh, what's that?
Matt Block saw the sheet music and shared it with some friends.
Everyone was like, damn, this is a hit. This is great.
Matt works in the music industry, so he was able to gather some of the best studio musicians in the country. And together, they took that dusty old love song and made it sing.
You never seem to know that I love you so.
Mort's love song, originally intended for an audience of one, has now been played more than 1 million times on social media.
I was floored.
Running up and down the hall. It was unbelievable.
And that is just the beginning. This fall, Mort Block, now 82, will grace the cover of an album featuring My Love and other collaborations. Perhaps a Grammy next year. But for Mort and Susan, like couples everywhere,
cheers.
The song of the year will always be their song.
Through our joy and our tears, my love.
Steve Hartman, on the road in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania.
If the pandemic has proven anything, it's that nurses are the heart and soul of our country's healthcare system, with an emphasis on heart. And if you need even more proof, here's CBS's Steve Hartman on the road.
Tricia Summers swore she met an angel. As we first reported in 2014, Tricia was in this hospital in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, when in walked a nurse.
Before she even said anything, I just felt comfort. It was almost like somebody just put like a warm blanket on me.
That's quite a nurse.
Yes, I've never felt anything like that before, or any other connection with anybody else.
This is that angel.
I really enjoy the job. I like it a lot. Aww.
Her name is Tricia too, Tricia Seaman. Over the years, she has been praised by many, but no patient has ever given her a greater compliment than Tricia Summers did.
Okay.
The single mom with an 8-year-old son named Wesley had just found out her cancer was terminal.
You know, what do you say to somebody? She's 45 years old. So I just gave her a hug, and she said, I have something that I need to ask you.
I blurted it out.
What did you say?
Can you take my son? Will you raise him if I die?
You didn't know her that well.
Mm-mm. She was a stranger.
Nevertheless, Tricia Seaman, her husband, and their family agreed. And that's where we left this story. Wesley's mom died not long after. And now 8 years have come and gone.
Wesley, looking back now, what do you think of your mom's decision?
I think it was the only thing she could think to do, really. And I'm thankful every day that she made that decision.
Happy birthday.
Wesley just turned 16.
Oh my God.
He has his learner's permit.
You're doing wonderful.
Before his mom died, she bought gifts for Wesley to open as he got older. Most recently, a keychain for when he gets his first car. In small ways like that, nurse and patient are still raising the boy together, and their teamwork seems to be paying off. Tricia says Wesley is a straight-A student and model child.
He's exceptional, but the most important thing is he just has such a kind and loving heart.
Really, how could he not? He's been touched by angels. Steve Hartman, CBS News, on the road.
Some inventions can bring untold riches, while others can bring something even more important. CBS's Steve Hartman has a story of the latter on the road.
After a massive stroke 8 years ago, Kevin Eubanks of Paragould, Arkansas, had a massive recovery. Today, even without the use of his left arm, he can do pretty much anything.
But there was one thing that was really important to you that you could not do.
Yes, hugging with two arms. When you hug one arm, to me it wasn't real, and I miss that so deeply.
Kevin says those bear hugs, enveloping his grandchildren, they were his greatest joy. But over the years, he had resigned himself to never know the feeling again. Then, a few weeks ago, his daughter, who teaches occupational therapy here at Arkansas State University, introduced her dad to her class. Kevin told them how he missed those hugs.
You could see it in his face and his eyes. It broke my heart because I was like, we have to do something.
And so these 4 students did.
We were all on board with it. It just needed to happen.
They got together after class to invent a device.
That's not going to work.
A piece of adaptive equipment.
It seems strong, though.
Which they named
the hugger.
Kevin says it was so deceptively simple, he could have never imagined the effect. That's his oldest grandson, Cope.
It's a good hug. The emotion just hit me, and I couldn't control it.
You want to give Rig a hug?
Especially after Cope's little brother stepped up.
Come here, young man.
Rigney was born after the stroke.
Oh.
That's sweet. This is the first time I've got to hug my boys.
The women responsible for this moment
We just cried and cried.
hope to start a business to make hugs possible again for grandchildren everywhere. And if their first customer review is any indication, they'll be creating a lot more than profit.
You can start with a 2-arm hug, and I believe it could change the world.
It sure did his. Steve Hartman.
Love you.
On the road in Paragould, Arkansas.
Oh.
Tonight, we raise our glasses and salute a bride and groom and the blessings of a little brother. Here's CBS's Steve Hartman on the road.
Troy and Katie Hudson of Denver, Colorado say their wedding was going just as they planned until the reception, when a member of the wedding party stole the show.
So it wasn't something that we were necessarily prepared emotionally to hear.
He's just like, I'm doing what I want to do. Here we go. And he's passionate.
He's also 9.
I wasn't planning on making a speech for her, Katie, but I did it, I let it out, and I can't pause it.
In a minute, what Katie's little brother had to say. But first, what led him to this moment?
She's just the best sister I can ask for. No one can compare. You try one of these.
Gus is actually Katie's half-brother. They're separated by nearly 2 decades. yet close as conjoined. Which is why, when Katie got engaged, Gus says his feelings got complicated.
I was worried that she would not spend as much time with me as she used to. So it was really stressful in that way because I didn't want to lose her.
Fortunately, Gus says there's just something about a wedding ceremony.
It's just like, kind of like magic. And most of my worries about them just kind of went away.
Which brings us back to the reception.
And I am so happy that you guys got married today. And I know I might seem a little sad up here, but these are tears of joy. Katie, I love you so much, and I am so happy you gave me a brother-in-law.
As the holidays approach and far-off relatives begin to trickle in, Gus says his story should be a reminder to you to never let the word extended cloud the word family.
Don't let that separate you, because you deep down love them and they deep down love you.
Toast-worthy advice.
Oh my God.
Steve Hartman, CBS News, on the road.
Now the story about the unbreakable bond between a mother and son. Here's CBS's Steve Hartman on the road.
By his own admission, Dustin Vitale was a mama's boy.
Mom, you ready?
He cooked Gloria breakfast every morning.
That's my baby.
And thanked her for the privilege.
Thank you, Mom.
As we first reported back in March.
You're gonna make me cry.
Because Dustin had such devotion, after his mom was diagnosed with terminal bladder cancer, he decided to try to take her on the trip she always dreamed of, to see the pyramids in Egypt. With the whole family, 14 people. Never mind that Dustin works as a middle school teacher in Philadelphia and could never afford the $10,000 to fly everyone. He thought he could raise the cheddar by selling cheesesteaks.
There was no way you were going to make enough money selling cheesesteaks out of your house.
Yeah, correct.
So given that, what was pushing you forward?
Just my mom, just the love for my mom.
And so, with his love and her recipe, Dustin started making sandwiches. Sandwiches so big no container could contain. He peddled them to friends and family.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate your support.
But those people must have told their friends and family too. Because almost immediately, cars started double parking outside his house.
Yep. Get your mom to Egypt. I'm trying, man.
Next, word spread on social media.
Oh my God. That's good.
And before he knew it,
good.
Folks were lined up down the block. A food truck operator offered his services. And in just 6 weeks, Dustin raised all the money he needed and then some. $18,000.
The Pharaoh is coming.
The trip was in May.
Oh my.
The Egyptian government had seen our story and gave Gloria the Cleopatra treatment.
She repeated over and over that it was the best thing that she's ever done in her life.
Thank you. And she died not long after you got back.
Yeah, came home and did hospice and passed.
Did the whole trip help you at all with the grieving?
Yes, we created so many new memories that will last forever.
And to make sure no one ever forgets her, Dustin wants to open a cheesesteak restaurant. He doesn't know where or when, he just knows the name. Gloria's. Steve Hartman, CBS News, on the road.
Tonight, we're wrapping up our special Mother's Day series with a mom and son relationship that is motion picture perfect. We first met them in 2017, and Steve Hartman joins them tonight on the road to movie stardom.
At her sold-out New York premiere, Rebecca Danagelis was pulled in all directions. Everyone wanting a picture with this most unlikely star of the silver screen.
It was really bizarre because I'm like, this is just my mom. We just showed up out of an Uber.
Rebecca's son, Sean Pierre.
She went from hotel housekeeper to household name over the last 4 or 5 years.
As we first reported back in 2017, the journey began right after she left this voicemail for her son.
I just got fired. Just want you to know that. Call me back.
Let go at 75.
End of message.
I was in shock.
I never expected it to happen to me.
My biggest worry was, like, if she loses her job, what else does she have?
Rebecca tried finding other work, went to career centers, scoured job listings, but nothing.
There ain't no reason anybody's gonna hire somebody that's 75 years of age.
Which is why Sean Pierre, who works as a freelance journalist, took a different tack.
You never know. She worked her hands to the bone. She deserved to feel joy, and that's what I wanted to give her.
So, on that note, mother and son hit the road. He took her bucket list, and together they started ticking off items.
Oh my God.
Milk a cow in Vermont. Done.
I love it.
Take a hip hop lesson. Check. Learn to use Instagram.
Just press the heart.
Work in progress. Sean Pierre has chronicled the whole adventure in a new documentary called Duty Free. The film, now showing across the country, is his gift to her. And although Rebecca couldn't be more grateful, she says it was hardly necessary. She says no one needs to roll out a red carpet for their mom on Mother's Day. They just need to follow the sidewalk to her door.
The most important thing you can give your mums is time. You want to spend time with them.
Oscar-worthy advice. Steve Hartman, CBS News. On the road.
With the baseball playoffs heating up, CBS's Steve Hartman has a story that touches all the bases. Here's tonight's On the Road.
There you go.
A couple weeks ago, Brian Robinson and his son Carter were at this batting cage in Montgomery, Alabama, when a random stranger threw him a high, hard one to the heart.
There was this bucket of balls with a note.
The note read, "Hope someone can use some of these baseballs. I pitched them to my son and grandson for countless rounds." The writer went on to say that his family is now grown and gone, but what he wouldn't give to pitch a couple of buckets to them. If you are a father, cherish these times. Brian and his wife Stormy read that note with tears in their eyes.
It felt like a moment for us.
It still does.
It does. We need to soak in more of our kids and time with our kids.
Just the message the author intended.
I was just hoping it would inspire some people.
Randy Long used to love watching and coaching his kids. So much so that when he came across that old bucket of balls in his garage, he couldn't bring himself to just throw away the memories. He says he needed closure.
It was like a goodbye, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a sign-off type thing. Okay, that chapter is gone. Let's see what else is coming on.
But unbeknownst to Randy, his baseball days were headed into extra innings.
You want a fist bump?
This week, he met the Robinsons at a local park where Randy learned about a void in Carter's life. The boy lost both his grandfathers at a very young age. They never saw him play.
We'd love for you to come
I was going to say, please let me know. All right.
Randy said he'd definitely be at the next game, and then asked Carter for a little catch.
Right where I had it. You see the smile on my face, Carter? This is bringing back memories.
Seems now Iowa isn't the only state
Pop up
with a field of dreams.
There we go.
It's what I've always wanted for him.
I'm sure a lot of people across the country now are realizing that's not just a bucket of balls anymore.
No, it's a fountain of youth and a binding force for generations. Steve Hartman, CBS News, on the road.